Rain fell in heavy sheets on the city streets, turning puddles into mirrors for the neon signs above, while the wind howled through empty alleys. Among the scattered garbage and wet cardboard boxes, a small girl named Elena crouched in the shadows, her clothes soaked and torn, her stomach growling louder than the storm above. She was no more than 12, but the hardships of life had already hardened her, yet her eyes shone with a spark, a quiet determination that refused to fade. Clutching a few coins she had collected and a faded flyer fluttering in her hands, she whispered to herself, "If I play, maybe someone will give me food." The flyer advertised a talent show at the community hall, promising small prizes and sometimes a warm meal. Trembling, Elena stepped inside, water dripping from her sleeves onto the polished wooden floor. The hall was buzzing with children practicing dances, singing, and performing tricks. Some participants glanced at her ragged appearance and snickered. The judges, seated behind a long table, barely looked up, their faces neutral, bored, and slightly dismissive. Elena stepped closer to the stage, her fingers brushing against the edge of an old piano that had seen better days. She swallowed hard, her voice barely above a whisper. "Excuse me, can I play for food?" A few children laughed loudly. One of the judges, an older woman with sharp eyes and a faint smile, looked up and said slowly, "Play for food." Elena nodded, voice shaking, "Yes. Please, just a little food. I can play." The woman studied her for a long moment, then finally said, "All right, little one, see what you have." Elena lifted her trembling hands onto the piano keys. The first notes were soft, almost hesitant, but as she played, her fingers began to dance across the keys with an astonishing grace and passion that silenced the entire hall. Her music told a story no one could ignore: the cold nights she had survived, the hunger that clawed at her, and the dreams that refused to die despite the hardships. The audience sat in stunned silence, their mouths slightly open, their eyes wide. The judges, usually indifferent, were now leaning forward, captivated by the raw, haunting beauty of her performance. When she finished, the hall was silent for a heartbeat, and then a wave of applause swept through. The woman at the desk handed her a plate of steaming food, and Elena's hand shook as she held it, tears streaming down her face. Among the crowd, a man, with keen eyes and a calm smile, had been watching quietly. "A talent scout," he whispered to himself. "This girl, she is extraordinary. I've never heard anything like this." Over the next few weeks, Elena returned to the hall, performing whenever she could. She faced ridicule from some children, jealousy from competitors, and even betrayal from someone who tried to steal her music for personal gain. Each time she stumbled, she got back up, her fingers moving across the piano keys with more precision and passion than ever before. Her music became not just a performance, but a message of hope and resilience. Then came the big opportunity. The talent scout invited her to perform on a major stage, in front of judges, media, and an audience she had never imagined. Nervous, but determined, Elena stepped onto the grand stage, heart racing, lights blinding, and took a deep breath. She played with everything she had: her past, her hunger, her fears, and her dreams blending into every note. The audience sat breathless, tears forming in eyes of strangers, moved by the raw truth of her music. Even those who had mocked her before watched in awe as the homeless girl transformed into a piano prodigy before their very eyes. When the last note faded, the room erupted in applause. The judges were on their feet, some with tears glistening, and the talent scout smiled proudly, knowing he had discovered a once-in-a-lifetime talent. The girl who had begged for food had found more than recognitions. She had found her life, her voice, and her future. That night, as Elena walked through the city streets, once cold and hostile, now quiet and peaceful, she whispered to herself, "I asked for food, and I found my world." From that day on, she never went hungry, not for food, not for opportunity, certainly not for hope, because she had discovered that true talent and courage can never be ignored, and a single moment of faith can change everything.